Alright, we're in. Oh, shit. Alright, guys, we are live. Let's kick this off. Microphones are muted correctly. Okay, beautiful. Alright, guys, well, we're in here. Lee, you're in here as well. We'll be up in a second. Alright, guys, well, happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday, everyone here in this beautiful audience that is joining us at Paladora Co.Creation Campus in Chemuyil, Mexico, right down the street from Tulum, where tons of regenerative communities are starting to spring up, and all around the world as well. Today is our Co-Creating Regenerative Communities workshop. You can see it right down here. Boom. And we are discussing all of the elements that it takes to create a regenerative community. Everything from land stewardship to creating a high-level plan to architecture designs, sustainable system designs, and this week we speak about the most critical part of any community, the human element, the piece of the community that is the heart, not just the buildings, not just the food growing, but the actual humans that are creating cohesiveness to connect and create a better world, a new earth, you can call it, as some of my friends in this audience like to refer to it. Today we kick off the day with a bit of tech. Our friend Andrew, Crypto Love Ninja, will be sharing his mastery of the crypto space, some perspectives on these tools that are strong allies in this regenerative community movement, in turning a traditional industry of eco-villages that have been around forever and honestly have grown at too slow of a scale to provide this kind of product to everyone that wants it. Now we are integrating technology tools like crypto, like solid operational project management tools like Kanban boards, even things like basic social media marketing and web presence to grow this industry and space exponentially and create ideally enough regenerative communities for everyone in the world to live in. Andrew, thank you for being here. Audience, everyone, thank you for being here. We have some awesome speakers today that will be sharing. Chelsea, Lee is going to be sharing with us. Emanuela will be sharing with us a piece all about their magic toolbox for the human element and how the human element can benefit from being introduced to these kinds of tools to improve their collaboration with each other. We start with tech. Andrew, stage is yours, brother. Sweet. Dazzle us.
Thank you, Oscar. Hey everyone, I'm Andrew, aka Crypto Love Ninja, and I am just a country boy from Georgia who decided to beat the system and learn about crypto, and now is deciding to redesign the system. Yeah, I think crypto is an amazing tool for all of us to use, to collaborate on, to create inside of, to use to organize. You know, today is about the human element, and obviously that's pretty important for everything, right? We're all human. And I wrote in my notes and I was like, what does it actually mean to be human? And I think from like a very philosophical level. And really what we are pillars of essentially light, but we're just pillars of being that ground in creative energy. If you're familiar with the chakra system, or even if you're not, if you have a creative idea, you express that through your creation and you ground it in. So we're literally just beings, the essence of grounding in creative life force energy. So crypto is a massive, massive tool and infrastructure for us to use to really ground this stuff in a way that's transparent, in a way that is trusted. Because in this old system that we had, you might have, you know, a few people in the community, a few people in the country that really carry the ideas, the minds of the societies, and they were typically the ones that held all the power. And maybe rightfully so in those times. You know, who are we to say what was right or wrong? Maybe consciousness chose them intentionally to carry certain codes for humanity to evolve. But now we're at this place where so many of us are multifaceted, so many of us have gifts, so many of us are artistic. And now we have a way to distribute our wealth in a way that reflects that. So this is really what crypto is about, is distribution. And if we look at not only humans, obviously we're all distributed, we're all a distributed ecosystem here in this room. When we talk about community, it is all a distribution of essentially love. Typically people come together in community because they have a similar love for purpose or passion. So this distribution is also something that we see in nature, right? Everything is fractalized, everything is written with the same hand. So the stars are a distributed system, our solar system is a distributed system. The nature is also a distributed system. Consciousness itself is a distributed system, right? We all are different node points in consciousness. And now we've just created this framework of crypto to really reflect this distributed system. You know, we have, when you talk about like or you look at the way that crypto works in these points of node systems, you have a distributed network versus a centralized network where all of the data and all the transactions happens in a central place. Now the system is then distributed amongst a network of people or a network of computers, software, some type of hardware devices. And there's even a project called HoloChain that's actually allowing us to distribute the internet itself inside of a local community, right? So this is kind of even like, it's probably 5 years ahead of where we are in the mainstream crypto space, but the project is already working, like they already have. Basically what it is, it's a system of nodes, so you have hardware devices that you could place inside your local community and have an internet system completely separate from the entire world, right? So this allows you to create your own internal governance, own internal economic system, own internal data storage, everything that's completely separate from the rest of society. So crypto allows us to coordinate in this interaction in a trustless and transparent way. Crypto is essentially the new foundation for all human interaction. How we're going to store our information, how we're going to transact our data, how we're going to make our rules, how we're going to govern and enforce those rules, how we're going to reward people. All of these things is going to be built on a blockchain. And it's not really so much important for us to really understand the technical layers of this. I've been going to this more and more as people are coming to me asking me to educate and onboard people into their systems. It's like if we take this smartphone device or any of these electronic devices in here, raise your hand if you have a good idea of how this phone actually works. Like if you could explain to me how this image from here, I can FaceTime and go to your phone and you can see my face, hear my voice. Does anyone have like 10% of an idea of how that actually works? 2 have 10%. What about like 90% who fully understands exactly how it works? Amazing. But we all use it every single day without question. Like our entire life relies on these devices, but none of us really understand how it works, right? So crypto has this thing where it involves money and it involves our self-worth that we attach to money. So we really try to like understand how it all works, but ultimately I think that's just blockages to really just allowing yourself into the system, allowing yourself into these new networks. And the money aspect is just one pillar of it. This is where most people is their focus, and like they can get into crypto and they can make a ton of abundance. Yeah, it's possible. That's definitely something that's possible. But the sovereignty, the distribution of wealth, the distribution of governance, these distributed systems are really where the power is. And I think, you know, Oscar and I were just talking, and when we can really ground in, and this is my archetype of crypto love ninja, and you can't really read it, but in my about me, like I go through this, like this crypto is this kind of this ethereal creative realm, right? It's all creation, it's all ideas that live in this ethereal space on the blockchain. And the love, it's a system of grounding in through love, through compassion, through the heart space, into this ninja warrior energy, which just destroys any concepts that exist currently and always pushing into the new paradigm. So crypto allows for this infinite, expansive, creative systems to be created. And really where I think the value comes in is when we can start grounding in this value to land through land-backed currencies, land-backed NFTs. And when you can say, hey, I have this much value and it's tied to this much land, this much community, this much experience that I can tap into, like that's real value. That's what we all, it's what we're all here for, right? We're all sensory beings. And when you go back to the topic of being human, that's what this experience is all about. To really do as much work to clear our vessel as possible so that we can experience life to the fullest through all of the senses. So tying value to sensory experiences, to land and community, I think is ultimate value. Any questions?
Yeah, I love how you mentioned this point of, do people even understand technology they use today? And this is a topic that comes up with blockchain because it's new and such a buzzword. People are still kind of like focused on, oh, what is that? It's different, it's weird. But in 10 years, blockchain will be the back end to a lot of stuff we use today and we won't even know it. So it's cool to be the pioneers in a space and getting involved with projects. And it's awesome that you're opening the doors for people to do this and to make it a soft landing for them, entering into the space that isn't as complicated as everyone assumes sometimes, because it's just a bunch of buzzwords floating around.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah,
what it is.
I think the most important thing is really sticking to what you know, what feels good to you, and the value and inspiration that you have naturally, right? And then just plugging yourself into an organization that's building something in the crypto space. You don't have to I mean, it's probably best to have a wallet, but you don't even have to get into all the stuff about the trading and the coins and even know the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum. Yeah, it's good to know so you sound educated when you talk to people, but you can totally benefit from these systems and these new projects. I mean, my hands are in 10 different projects right now, and we need, most of the team that we need has nothing to do with building and developing. All the developers, they're there. We don't need more developers. We need more creatives. We need more project managers. We need more community organizers. We need more people that have connections with investors. We need, all of these things, right? So, yeah. How this ties into eco villages, just to kind of wrap up. So when it comes to governance, obviously we need to make decisions in community. Well, the problem that we've had with governance, in my opinion, in the past, is the latency between the time that we realize a decision needs to be made and the time that decision is enforced and made law is, it's too long, right? We're at the internet age. We need stuff like this instant. And the time that it takes for us to recognize, hey, someone is corrupt, and the time that it takes to get them out of power, it's too long. We need stuff that's instant, right? And with crypto, with blockchain, we can literally make these decisions within, a couple of minutes and say, oh, this person didn't actually follow up on, this proposal that they submitted and said that they were going to pass, or they drew, 10% more of the funds than what was allocated in the proposal. They're no longer, allowed to be, they're reprimanded or whatever, right? You can see all these things completely transparent through the blockchain. I think a bigger portion of this too is how we can actually access and interface with all these different communities. And this is a big project that, all of us are really working on, is NFT access. Imagine that you have, a ticket, or you have, basically you are the ticket to, your communities, and you can basically program exactly how you want to relate to all of these different communities via smart contracts. An example of that would be, let's say you put $100,000, you purchase an NFT. This NFT gives you access to, 10 communities all across the world. And then you can maybe add on different packages or something that give you, medicine ceremonies or all-inclusive food or yoga or spas or whatever the community offers can just be added on to these NFTs, which are also transferable. So not only are we just spending value and putting it into an ecosystem, we're creating value that's regenerative. So now we can transfer this NFT that may actually gain in value by the time I use it. So I spent $100K, I used it for a year, I traveled amongst all these communities, and then I'm like, okay, I'm not really interested in these communities anymore. I'm going to sell my NFT, and maybe now it's worth $150K because there's a limited amount of them. Maybe the value of the community, the interest that people want to participate in the system has gone up. Or maybe I want to hold on to it and I want to turn it into an asset. So I don't really like the word staking because in the sense of DeFi, it doesn't really translate to NFTs, but I'm kind of on the fence, so maybe it does. But let's just use the word staking. You take your NFT and you place it back into the marketplace and you say, actually, I'm just going to allow other people to use this item and they can go stay in the communities, and now I've just turned this into a passive income asset, right? So yeah, NFTs, we're merging DeFi, we're merging experiences, community access, all of these things.
And this is a piece that we are super excited to be chatting about and sharing and really creating a community around this concept. everyone with different pieces of the puzzle, right? The tech piece, the building piece, the land project pieces, and all of the offerings that come in providing an end-to-end service for people, which is what America does well and why it's the best at consuming, because they provide end-to-end service where, like, from start to finish, it's taken care of. And so this is really exciting as well, to be in these talks with Andrew and his wealth of knowledge and kind of integrating this effectively into the community space.
Thank you, Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if any of thing I've said resonates with you and you would like to connect with me more personally, professionally, creatively, my Instagram is Crypto Love Ninja. My website is cryptoloveninja.co or .com. I'm kind of in the middle of like leaving 2 brands and services. Yeah, I mean, I would love to just kind of get to know you and see how we could plug you into all the things that we're creating if it's something that you have interest in.
You want to do a quick market update?
Yeah,
2 minutes, 5 minutes? Anything? Any
me
projects that
just
are
pull up.
buzzing?
Let me
Right,
just pull
anyone in the audience as well? In the crypto scene? Who's in crypto? Who has tokens? Who's holding something? Anything you're super excited about? Anything that you're following up on because you're like reading the news and excited? Please share. Anyone? Anything? Projects you're holding? What's your favorite project? Shout it out.
Bitcoin, because it's the only one you'll ever need.
Bitcoin. Okay, beautiful. We have a.
Can I launch my NFT on Bitcoin?
Yes,
Oh,
do
there's
that?
solutions for it.
you use colored coins on the Lightning Network. Like,
He's on the team.
Any other input on crypto?
Which?
XCM on CoinMetro.
XCM, CoinMetro. Okay, this was Monaco before, I think. XCM.
What is this? What is it?
XCM on
Those are
CoinMetro.
letters. What does that mean?
It's a token. It's a project.
That's
Cool. Like, what?
I don't know enough of this. Like,
Well, let's look it up.
I know it's a,
Let's see what it is.
Okay, what's in the market that I've seen?
XCM.
Bitcoin's what, at 40,000?
CoinMetro?
yeah.
And so where are you
CoinMetro describes
researching
itself
this, Andrew?
as a fully rounded fintech ecosystem that was designed to simplify access to the digital asset economy. So it's an onboarding ecosystem.
I know a lot of people behind it, and they're like really like conscious, heart-based beings, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah,
Dope.
that's why I recommend.
Amazing. Yeah, so market update, looks like Bitcoin like just fell through its support at 38,000. Now it's at 36. So, you know, my thesis before this recent price action was that if it fell below 38,000, then we would probably end up making a new low because we've already tested 38K like 3 or 4 times, and there's really been not much volume coming off of it. I mean, relative, but it hasn't really shown much impressive. And if we break that, basically we're going to make a new low, which reverses the trend, which will probably put us into a mini bear cycle down to possibly even 20K, I think at the lowest, but maybe like 24-ish, 28-ish, which I feel could happen quickly. I don't think it's like a 2-year type thing. I think we may just be in this for, you know, till October, November, somewhere in there. But you know, all we can do is kind of adjust our thesis as we go. But I've pretty much been in stable coins for the last 2 months, other than some quick micro trades here and there, just because the market is, you know, anytime crypto is moving sideways, right, it's best to just be out. Anytime it's going down, it's obviously best to be out. Just like crypto is about timing, figure out, like just wait until the market is pumping, like, and there's no doubt that it's pumping, and then just put your money in, hold it for a couple months, make your 300, 400x, pull out, wait till the next cycle, right? This holding game, you know, it's shit. Like all these valuable, super dope projects, their tokens are, you know, they're not worth anything because there's not the utility and the value tied to the tokens, right? And then you have all these whales that can come in and dump. So that's why we're literally having to create whole new systems that have all of these walled gardens against, you know, whales being able to come in, taxes, so people can't, you know, sell the NFTs for certain prices. And it's like we create this stable floor that's tied to the actual value that we decide. We get to decide what we value, just like you decide what your value is. If you're a coach, you know, if you have any type of service, you say, this is my value. Well, here's our project, here's our land-based community, and here's how much we value each fractal piece at, and you're not allowed to sell it below this. You can sell it more, the price can go up. So this is like a whole nother tokenomic layer. But yeah, so crypto, let's watch for the price action now at 35K. Likely not much is going to happen, and then let's watch again around 30,000, 28,000, and see what happens there. So, but overall, crypto's here to stay. It's going to go up eventually, and if you're in crypto, you're still super early. So just be patient, find your creative flow, and just hone in on that.
Sweet. Thank you for the presentation. Yeah, so a big portion of the day, right, is the keyword co-creating. It takes a tribe to build a village, and we realize this, we see it with multiple projects that we are involved with and getting to know every day, and it calls for the collaborative effort, which this community really thrives on that principle, collaborative effort. It's the base of a community. And it makes it really nice to work with open-hearted, open-minded people every day with similar, if not exact visions to each other and sharing each other's magic. And this is the magic that we seek to share today, the human magic element. We have 3 beautiful speakers that will be joining us today. Who would like to go first? We're going to do this talk show style. You're going to come up, you're going to sit with us, you're going to join, and you're going to share, right? The 3 of them are here in the audience. You're going to share your magic about the human elements. What do you do that gives people more tools in this chess box? What we all do as coaches, consultants, healers, share tools that have possibly worked for us and share them with other people so that they have these tools in their chess box. We would love to hear from you guys what you've done, how you connect to this space, and what are some of these tools. At the end, all 4 of us, 5 of us, will join into this conversation and discuss how these elements can be embodied, manifested in a physical location, a physical community. We have some owners of land here in Mexico, community founders in the crowd, working on building their own spaces as well. And we would love to hear feedback about your experiences and what you feel would add to the community, what you feel is missing in the community. And maybe from today's conversation, you can take back a few points that you implement in your own communities, here in the audience or out in the metaverse. All right, so out of you 3 guys, who's first? Get up here, buddy. All right, guys, so dear friend Lee is going to come share with us a lot of his magic. A big piece that we connected on at the beginning was this topic of creating a new earth through communities, through sovereignty, through a piece Lee has done a lot of research on and is very, very excited to share different topics of. Let's get it, we're ready. He has a presentation for us.
You want me seated?
Yeah, that works. You can stand
Whatever
if
you
you'd like.
prefer.
Yeah, I like to move.
You can put it on the desk and just move around. That makes sense. Welcome, Lee.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
My name's Lee. Thank you for having me and allowing me to share a little bit about my journey and what I call radical self-responsibility. And for me, I remember as a boy, like 12, 13 years old, I started having these questions. I felt like I didn't fit in, felt all alone, even alien. Had anxiety, dealt with panic attacks. And that was the first time I remember asking questions. Who am I? Why do I feel like this? What is all this? Why am I here? And so my journey over the last more than 3 decades now has taken me into really understanding the mind-body-spirit connection, and developing the tools within the greater self, the sacred self, to start to put the pieces together of who I truly am and what I'm truly capable of. And that journey took me into the gym world and learning movement and supplementation and nootropics. meditation, moved on to study with Bob Proctor and his organization in personal growth, and Dr. Joe Dispenza, and numerous plant medicine ceremonies, and they're all little pieces, and I feel like the radical self-responsibility, operating from the higher laws, it was the missing piece for me, right? And for me, I really feel like this is going to allow us to journey from the sacred valley of death and the jurisdiction that we're currently operating in into the land of the living and truly heaven on earth. So as I said, it's about operating from these higher laws. I'm going to go through them in a moment, which really weaves into the sacred self journey, which culminates in community and then a new world, a new society. And this will create a noble, honorable level of independence and a correct, aligned, healthy level of interdependence within and between individuals and every community. So whether it's Pythagoras, Tao Te Ching, Socrates, Aristotle, all great thinkers throughout history said that the most noble journey is to know thyself. And I truly believe that. And so when we think about communities, as Oscar said, it comes back to the individuals. Without a certain level of consciousness, and I always say, for lack of better terminology, you can't put an unconscious individual into a conscious community, right? So what does that self journey look like? And it comes down to the development of every individual, right? It's a continuous, unending, infinite, expansive journey. And it's not to say not to, relish in and be in the present moment with who we are in this moment, but then realizing that we're going to continue to expand into a deeper remembrance of who and what we truly are. So I'm going to skip through a lot because I know I don't have a lot of time. So that work on oneself is paramount to the continuity and success of the community in my eyes. And the journey is necessary, achievable, and really creates a thriving, robust, regenerative, and happy community. So higher laws, the sacred self-discovery, and then the community aspects. So hierarchy of law, and this is that missing piece that I was talking about. It really is, for me, the thing that will truly allow us to operate fully, freely, autonomously in this realm, in this dimension. And this is that bridge from the valley of death and the operation within this lesser jurisdiction of legalese that we've kind of been indoctrinated into this new world, for every living man and woman to actually bring forth and express their law, right? And it operates on, there are 4 foundational principles. The first one being the law of love and what is true, right? It's what every other law is built upon. It includes do no harm. There's a self-assessment or a self-correction, and I actually created a self-reflection checklist. Love always tells the truth, seeks to discover what is true, and allows everything. Now you might say, well, okay, I don't necessarily want to tell the truth in this instance because it may hurt the person, and how do we know that's not the piece they need to take their game to the next level? And I always say, in terms of our shadow, it's like, how do we see it unless it's honorably and gently reflected back to us, right? So, and then seeks to discover what is true, and I'll talk more about this in a little bit. Truth is not based on our perceptions. Truth is what is, right? And the more that we elevate our consciousness and come closer to that source, that we actually truly are, and the embodiment of that, the more we can actually perceive that truth and what it is. And we've got the universal laws, and these are the laws that govern everything. So this is the second framework up, right? And they provide all of creation with a framework of mathematical, scientific, and emotional certainty, right? So vibration, attraction, divine oneness, compensation, correspondence, cause and effect. So we've all heard of these, obviously, right? But how many actually know the detailed description and directly connect to them to truly, fully aim to embody them in every moment? They're operating in our lives no matter what anyways. So why aren't we attuned to them and actually making them work for us, or doing our best to align with them to make them work for us. And then, kind of an aside is, I call these the secondary or interpersonal laws, right? And this would be how we begin to really relate with and to each other, one-to-one, or two or more people. And it's, liability, responsibility, authority, currency exchange, relationship, right? And when in my eyes, when we truly fully begin to understand and embody these and operate from these higher laws, that changes everything. And humbly I'll submit that anything in that was kind of born in the 3D world, whether I know a lot of communities are leaning on and utilizing sociocracy and hellocracy and these kind of frameworks. When we truly step up with this radical self-responsibility, all that becomes obsolete. Again, I'll submit that for you to ponder. Then we've got the laws of the soul, right? The laws of the soul actually govern the use of free will and provide the mechanisms to remedy unloving use of free will. Has the capacity to process any and every emotion it is capable of feeling, and is designed to allow emotion to pass freely. All right, so I'll take you back to when you were born and those early formative years, right? And something upsets you, and you throw a tantrum, or you get upset, or you're crying or angry or whatever it is, and you're told to stifle it. Behave, big girls, big boys don't cry, that sort of thing. And that becomes the beginning of us developing that subconscious mind and all the stuff that we've got to unpack now, right? And I would submit to you again that the subconscious mind wouldn't exist if we weren't holding on to all that stuff, right? And it's like the deer that's running in the forest and it's being chased. It comes back to a place of safety. It'll actually continue to shake out those nerves until it comes back to that place of homeostasis. So its soul remains pure. We're literally the only animal that holds on to stuff, right? But once we unpack that subconscious mind and all those feelings, all those things that we weren't allowed to actually feel, our souls will be free again, and that emotion it'll flow through us freely, and something happens in this moment. I get triggered, I feel the emotion, it passes through, and it's free. I've got nothing left to unpack. And then this is kind of the capstone, right? This is the one that allows us to actually bring forth and express our law. Now, every one of us has our own law, but if we're not expressing it, then by default, we're going back to the current jurisdiction, the old system, and we have to play by their rules. This becomes about every man and woman nobly, honorably, peacefully bringing forth their law and saying, what you did, I'm not so sure about that, and I feel like that is a wrong, and if you're not willing to remedy that wrong, to remedy that, in whatever way we agree upon, whatever way feels good, for me and actually for both of us, then I'm going to actually consider that a trespass, and that's the time where I'm going to make you directly liable, and I'm going to bring you into a court of law, and we each have our own courts of law, right? So I'm going to have to skip right ahead. So this one is like super, super detailed, and I would say that essentially from the acceptance of our long form birth certificate, right, and the all capitalization of our names, which literally means the diminishment of status, that indoctrinates us into this lesser jurisdiction, and we're having to play by those rules. And it is said that our souls are actually lost at sea. We're operating as a dead entity in this lesser jurisdiction. And so another seed I'll plant is, will we truly be free until we reclaim that aspect of the self and move from the sacred valley of death back into the land of the living as noble men and women? With the full intention to bring forth remedy to any and all controversy. Sacred self journey. So honoring the spirit and honing the physical, to me is a that's it's like if you look at the mind body spirit matrix within which the sacred self resides, we've got all of these tools that are available now to us, right? And if we truly honor our spirits and what we came here to do, while honing the physical and building a strong vessel and creating lots of money, that brings us into a place of balance. So each of the pillars, there are lots of tools. I'll be able to share this with all of you guys. I know I have like 3 minutes. So the mental pillar. And then the other thing I'll say about the physical is I'm sure everyone's felt the energy, you know, on the planet right now, and it's just going to continue to increase, right? And so these vessels, it's so important to hone them in a way that is going to allow that exponential increase of the amplitudes of frequency to actually run through us more efficiently, more easily. And then this is essentially what I term life school, and it is, you know, essentially an unending library for all organizations, all resources, you know, within their own zone of genius, from each of the Holy Trinity, from the mind, body, spirit, to offer their tools, right? And that becomes a, you know, just a resource database for every community to actually be able to leverage, right? And some can come from within the community, and obviously we can connect to people from around the world, and then every individual being onboarded can go, okay, like, out of these listed services under the mind, yeah, like I wanna work with these people, right? Daily recommendations kind of goes with it saying, like, create your own sacred morning practice. And I would say to bookend your days, you know. For me, it's like, and we just talked about this, not putting anything else in front of myself, you know. And this brings us to a noble sense of self-firstness, where we're taking care of the sacred self first, you know. And it's not selfish to make sure that my cup is full, that my mask is on first, you know, as the plane's going down, to, you know, then be able to support everyone else in putting theirs on. You know, I think the self-sacrifice is so deeply embedded into the consciousness, and it's just an incorrect position.
I love this piece real quick. I would just like to highlight, go back one real quick. Right, some of the intentions of this day is that everyone takes home one little piece, ideally, at least one, where they're like, wow, I'm going to implement this for at least one day or many days and reap the benefit of it. Something like this is something actually Julia's been very aware of in these last couple of days of doing, and starting the day with, like, what dimension are we kicking our day off in today? I'm grateful for this, 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 and this. And by putting it up here, you just walk through your day in that intention and in that frequency. And so this is a really strong one I currently align with, and I'm grateful for you to bring it up in this process of intention setting, right? What I think an altar in our house does. It's not just pretty rocks with candles around it, right? Every time you look at this altar, for me at least, it's a reminder of the intention we have for the month, for the day, for the moment. So that really helps with that. Thank you for bringing that up. It's a good one to, like, integrate.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, that level of mindfulness, right? And really coming into the present moment awareness, right? And it allows us to really see and discern, you know, how I feel. Am I triggered in this moment, right? And then that kind of plays into the self-reflection checklist, right? If I'm truly able to reflect, you know, to inform myself first, then I can come to, you know, if you know, there's been an interaction that, you know, I felt triggered in, I can actually come to that person owning my own stuff, rather than like, oh, you know, it was all you. It's like, no, I played a role in this. This is what I feel like mine is, and, you know, maybe you want to look at this stuff. Bookend your day, so the last part of your day, do the same thing. More gratitude, you know.
Reflection.
Yeah, reflection. So truth, as I said, it's not objective, meaning it's not based on the perception of humans. I would say there are 5 possible conditions of what is true. I know what is true about a thing. What is true lives in I, so we've had direct experience with it. I'd say a lot of humanity is in number 2 or number 4. I don't know, but I believe I do. Oh yeah, I know, I got it. I know I don't know, and I don't want to know. I know I don't know, but I have a desire to know. And that one, I would say, you know, if you truly had a desire, you would cultivate that desire. Or if you wanted a thing in your life, because we're each the universe perceiving through our perspective. And so if we wanted a thing, or we wanted, you know, to know a thing, we truly would. But we can cultivate that desire. So I know I don't know, and I don't want to know, but I wish to develop the desire to know. Higher consciousness, closer to truth, and the ability to perceive as high. I would say also we're a lot closer to morality. Lower consciousness, further from the truth, and the ability to perceive as low. Thus, true conscious connection must first come from knowing thyself. 2 slides, actually 4 slides. So community onboarding, becomes a way for every individual to actually go through an approved level of coursework and resources to understand the higher laws, the sacred self journey, self-awareness, community awareness.
This is a beautiful piece. I interject again, like I interjected with Andrew. Magicians sharing their magic, right? Like crypto magic, and how we can implement that into our piece, the physical land projects. This community onboarding piece, it's as critical for a company to have a new employee guide as it is for a community to have a new community member guide, as it is for a digital community to have a community onboarding guide, where we know how to interact with the collective, where we can go for certain things, and what is like the proper practice to integrate with the existing collective and how we can really share magic. So this is a cool piece that we're excited to work on, that we will be kind of sharing with different projects on how to integrate this community piece, this heart human piece to the spaces.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. And then, following the steps outlined, once we get into community, there's the authentic connection schedule using the self-reflection checklist, regular schedule to connect with each other within a structured container, non-aggressive conflict resolution. So all these different containers can be set up in how we actually, really leverage these higher laws and the sacred self journey within community. Right? The community guidance or governance, which everyone's kind of spoken to a little bit, to fully understand and continue to refine the above process and schedule when new community members actually on board and when someone actually wants to refine, add, alter something within that, and that's based on the law of relationship.
Yeah, I love that buildup of how we start with understanding and navigating ourselves best. Then we work on practices on how to navigate one-on-one with each other. And then the governance piece is how do we operate collectively in a big group. So this is kind of the iterations into it, always with self first.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Has to be.
cool shit. Yeah, good,
Yeah.
good flow on it.
So when we consciously lean into a state of connection with what is, based in truth, with radical self-responsibility to then think, feel, and act from that place of noble self-discovery and self-firstness, and service to all, under law, common tie, we will live into that place, and the world we came for will be born. Leaning in is the sacred self journey and discovery which culminates in community and then in new society. And I'll just leave you with world peace is a world where everyone is at peace, achieved when one first comes to place with peace from within, by detaching from the story, accepting what is, having faith in what's to come, and moving into reclamation of radical self-responsibility.
Beautiful. Beautiful piece. Yeah, I interjected and added some of like the key points that I really observe in this timepiece. How you start with self first, then individual contact with each other, and then as a collective. This piece I am excited to share and connect with the other pieces that are going to be sharing. Lee's piece speaks to my heart in this like operation-minded framework that helps us navigate through situations. Our next speaker, Chelsea, who wants to go next? Emma? Chelsea? Spiritual leader, what are you guys going to share? You
What's your
guys?
topic?
The importance of your baby.
And the importance of your baby. Okay, cool.
You guys play rock, paper, scissors.
Agency.
Let me know. It's on the agency chat.
Yeah, but I thought Emma can be submitted. I gave her the link.
You sent her the link? Okay, Emma, you want to share from your computer? You have the link there?
Yeah, let's see if I can.
Okay, so Emanuela, welcome. We met at Tribalize. We had met before, I think, in like little events. No, was it Tribalize first time? Okay, right, Tribalize was this Regenerative Community Summit that was held here at Paladora campus, where community-minded humans came together to discuss what it looks like to create regenerative communities all around the world. The focus of the Tribalize in Mexico, here in Tulum, was grounding the vision in Mexico.
Yeah.
Manuela has ideas and projects going on in different places, like Portugal,
Yes.
one in Africa as well, that is in the pipeline,
Yes.
which I'm super excited to know more info about. And she's going to share with us her piece on the human element.
Yes.
Again, a toolbox of practices and experiences that she's lived that help people connect with themselves, connect with each other, and connect with all of us as a collective.
Yes.
So tune in, listen for some tools, and we'll be talking about these collectively at the end.
Yes.
Welcome, Emma. Thank you for coming.
So much. Thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you. So first of all, I want to thank Oscar and Julia and Sonia. Very grateful for allowing me to be here and speak today. And well, yeah, you know my name. My name is Emanuela, and I've been basically following and working on this project for the last 18 years and acquiring different tools about how to become, like truly become your true self and embrace your full power and become the best human being you can be, and actually express it to the world and to others. So today we're going to focus on the importance of your being. So before we even start with that, I just want to take you through a little exercise, very quick one. So if you have pen and paper, grab it. If you have your phone, just hold it and just, we're going to take literally 5 minutes. I'm going to ask you a few questions. And I want to see how reactive you are and how quick you can reach to an answer to all these questions, okay? You guys ready? Yeah? Okay. So I'm gonna give you literally 30 seconds for each question. So the first question is, who am I? So write it down really quick on your phone or on a piece of paper. The second question is, what makes you happy? Third one, what do I want to achieve with my life? Why I'm doing what I do? Then really quite quick one, am I happy with my life? And is there anything I can do better to make an impact in this life? Okay. Tell me when you're done. All good? Yeah? Okay. So, how easy was it for you to reply to this question? Was it easy? If you're easy, raise your hands. Okay. Right. Okay. How did you find yourself when you were answering these questions? Did you? So, what was the most difficult one that you were facing and replying to it? What was the one that you had to actually think about a little bit? Anyone can answer, yeah?
The last one.
The last one. Is there anything I can do better to make an impact in this life? Okay. Same. Anyone else wants to share?
I think what I want to achieve, because I've been, I think, through enough things in my life that when I think like this is the thing I'm doing, I get close to that or there, and then I'm like, whoa, that's the thing.
Okay.
So I realize what I want to achieve right now, but I know that by the time I get closer and get there, there's going to be probably something else moving
Okay.
forward.
You actually achieved though what you set as your goal. You actually achieve it,
Yeah.
and then you see, okay, perfect, okay. But that's exactly one of the things that we're going to discuss as well today. So I just want to introduce you to one of the things that actually changed my life. So Via Maestra, Via Maestra is this project that is being started 8 years ago, and you started through an enlightenment, okay? An enlightenment of someone that actually helped me and guided me through this beautiful journey of awareness and awakening, and that took me to the next level of understanding of actually it is actually to be, to become, to truly become, because sometimes, most of the times when we talk about who are you, we are just focusing mainly on the sorts of existence that we are living at the present moment. So I'm the person that is actually doing this, and this, but we're not actually looking inside who we truly are. So it's very crucial to literally get to that point of understanding and clearly becoming who we truly are. So we got here actually a few of these beautiful people that you see in this picture that came today. Some of them has gone through the journey, some others are actually through the journey, doing the journey themselves. But Via Maestra is actually a group of like-minded people that are bringing and they're working together in order to and live their life actually following their true purpose. So well, a few things already said. But yeah, so what is very important, so what does Via Maestra give you is actually giving you the clarity and the help you, it guides you through different tools, so actually having clarity of who you truly are and understanding your true potential. It also helps you releasing negativity, low vibrations that might surround you, energies from activities that you do on a daily basis, and it helps you fast track to reach your full awareness of your true self. Okay, so I'm just gonna briefly go in here, just in terms of Via Maestra is actually a tool that we're bringing in different. So we've been working the last 18 years working and helping people in many different parts of the world. We're currently one part of the pillar of the other projects that we were talking about, like the creation of communities in different places. So we have things that are starting to happen in Portugal, Africa, specifically what we are in Zambia, then Costa Rica, and starting as well here in Mexico, still working on a few things, but all is on the way.
So you guys do like training programs or courses?
That's what I was going to go
Yeah,
through
yeah,
now.
we'd love to know.
So basically, what is it? It's actually, so Via Maestra is a toolkit box. It's a blend of different techniques that are actually given and used on a daily basis that can actually help the person going from the state of the moment where they are, the position where they are right now in the certain being which they're representing in that moment, to actually elevate to the highest self, to the highest level of awareness that actually resides within you, but you're probably maybe not reached it yet because you still have things that you're carrying with you through your life experiences and everything. But those are the things that makes you reach to a goal, or maybe makes you close to a goal, and sometimes maybe not reaching it because you're actually blocking yourself through those things that you're still carrying. So that's where it's very important, like that ourselves as humans, we're very true to ourselves.
Can you share an example, maybe something personal or something
Yes.
you've observed in someone else that is one of these blockages that maybe they placed on themselves and didn't realize and inhibited them from reaching that goal?
Yeah. I mean, it can be many different things. Okay, those type of blockages can happen and are actually we're all different. So that's the other thing. So every single one of us live different experiences in life. We all created that. So past lives, current lives, whatever it is, everything is it goes around karma, right? So it really depends on the person itself. I can say, like, personally, one of my biggest blockages was the feeling of being abandoned.
Okay.
So that one was one of the things that actually always kept me really low, or actually I could be like very expressive, open, creative in many different aspects of my life. But then when it was coming to actually be just myself, especially when, for example, in a relationship, maybe with a partner, I was getting lost. I was getting lost because basically I never had that figure in my life that was actually supporting me. So when I was going through relationships, I was always canceling my true self. Basically, I was just like, yes, I'm yours. Do whatever you want of me, but like I wouldn't embrace myself a full. So that was one of the biggest blockages I had to work on.
Take an example.
Yeah. So, but once that is being released, I'm not gonna take you through the whole story because it's quite long. But once that was released, was a massive shift in everything I was doing. Yeah. So, so that's one of the things. So it's very important. It's a toolkit that will help you actually to rise your vibration. So what happened during, specifically in that moment, the vibrations and the frequencies, my frequencies completely shifted. So this journey actually will help you to shift your vibrations and take you to the highest level of your awareness, but also of your frequencies. So the universe always conspires to make things happen, both in the good and in the bad. So it all goes in the flow with our frequency and with our thoughts. So we need to clearly work on those two things, because I mean, we can be the most positive person in the world, but then get lost in our mind thinking maybe negatively about certain things. Well, the universe actually listens more to those thoughts rather than yourself actually acting in a different direction, right? So it's a whole work that it's about embracing yourself. It's about embracing your mind. It's about clear out and work here to feel here and expand. Yeah. So who is it for? So this type of journey is for people that are really willing to change, to make shifts in their life, to truly become, overcome any sorts of traumas, any sorts of blockages that I might have in their lives, and really people that wants to create different realities on this planet. Tribalize for me was a an amazing experience. I mean, it was great to see many people going through the same journey. But yes, that's what I was also talking to you, Oscar, about. It's like those dynamics as well that sometimes you see in communities, that you create within communities, are not, they keep the community on a certain level of what they actually can create or co-create. So the idea is actually to work on the person in the individual level in order to actually break all those patterns, break all those visions, break all those dynamics that actually keep the community on a lower frequency. When every single person actually within a community work together to embrace their full power, they're willing to do that. So they're willing actually to reach the highest level of also of the expansion, whatever they want to see within that community. So, and that's where we have these sorts of course for becoming superhumans and actually embrace your true self. So becoming superhumans in this case, it means, of course, following certain steps. It's sometimes it can be difficult to face your own things, but when you actually make your subconscious mind and clear up your subconscious mind from those blockages, you start flying. You start flying, but not just a single person, the whole community will start flying. Everything will start to change. And the frequency of the community will change. Everything you want to embrace, everything you want to create, actually will go to the next level. And that's what you want to see, because I mean, there's so many beautiful humans that are creating, co-creating spaces. Think about like if all these humans will all go like to the highest frequency of themselves, or the highest frequencies of awareness, everything that we're wishing to see happening on this planet, like it can be done in in a snap of fingers.
Right. The concept in these spaces, as I've observed in communities, is that by people being more aware of themselves and more conscious of themselves, it makes it easier for them to work with others at the most objective level,
Yes.
right? Aside from all of the growth and all the things, when we are more connected with ourselves, we
Yes.
work better with others.
For
We
sure.
don't get triggered as easily, and even if we do get triggered, which is normal,
Yeah.
we're able to self-reflect and find our own space to process it, or
Exactly.
have a peaceful conversation and
Exactly.
say, hey, this situation is making me feel this way.
Yes.
I would seek to change the vibe of the conversation or whatever. And this allows collaboration. And
Yes.
as community humans, we believe in collaboration deeply.
Yes.
And this is why we all seek to live in community and in
Yes.
these eco-village setups.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So yes, so we, as we say here, like yes, those superhumans, they want to live and coexist in a conscious. Going on, you, embracing yourself means you know exactly what you're doing 100% like every single day of your life. Every single day.
So we have a few more minutes left for your
Yes.
presentation. I would love to know what some of these exercises are.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
if you could share some of these like, from, yeah.
Well, I can share with you like some of the
Maybe
techniques
your,
that
maybe
we're
your
using.
favorite one or one that you've seen has like a really profound effect on people.
Okay, so what you got a group of people, most of the times they don't know each other, and they actually coexist in a space, and that space actually, in that space we jump into mirrors,
Okay.
right? So we embrace those mirrors and
Is everyone
break through.
aware of this concept of mirroring? What a mirror is? Is anyone
Yeah.
not so clear as to what it is? Maybe you can share like
Okay.
a brief description of what that means.
So a mirror, it's just well. Think about your life. Think about what you do every single day. Think about maybe the person that comes and maybe freaks you out for any reason. Okay, it's not that person actually freaks you out. It's something that is within you, and that person is there right in front of you because it needs to stimulate that thing within you. So but you have two choices. You always have two choices. You have the choice of analyze yourself and just get deep into the root and get rid of the root, or you can just keep on playing that game and constantly have that person, that not specifically that one, but someone in your life that come at a certain point of your life that come and stimulate that thing within you. Okay, so that's it.
And this happens all the time in community, right? You don't just go hide in your house for 3 days while you cool off. Everywhere you go, you're seeing people that you are pretty close to because you've purchased land together or are actively working on a project together. And we see this with family a lot. They're the closest ones to us and they freak us out the most sometimes, right? They're the strongest mirrors. But in community, it becomes your family. And you're in these mirrors all of the time, which gives you the situation to feel a lot of discomfort at times, but these are the moments of like maximum growth, which is, I think, one of the most immersive benefits of
Yeah.
living in a community lifestyle with people around you that become very close and you share a lot of time with.
Yeah. So, but one of the things that we embrace a lot through that is not just facing it, but actually going deep and work. That's why I say like every person is different depending on the experience that they had. So through the mirroring, then we do like circle times where we discuss about the vision or what happened, and normally we go backwards and then find the root and work on the root and how to resolve the root for good. So that is not going to happen anymore in your life.
Right. Yeah, the point you touched on, that when someone makes you feel a certain kind of way, it's usually something we see in ourselves in that person that really, really gets us and really kind of gets under our skin. So to have the tools, right, I react through physical. I connect to my physical body.
Yeah.
I feel a little bit of pressure here, and then I feel my chest swell up, and then I feel my neck start getting tight, and this is what I'm about to like not react in my best me, let's say. Right, so to feel this out and identify what it is in that person that's making you feel this way is a really powerful exercise. Cool.
So that's one of
Pressure
them.
cooker, nice.
Yeah, pressure cooker.
I like it.
Yeah, but yeah. So this journey is basically calling you to master your life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about mastering your life. It's about mastering yourself. Become the greatest human that you can be, and of course become and embrace as well, because that's the other beautiful stuff. The beautiful part is the fact that when you really start working on these little layers within yourself, you shift vibrations. Your vibrations go higher. The universe start giving you. So whatever maybe you're still wishing for that is not happened yet, it's because you're not at that frequency. So the more you work on that, the more you scrape it up, and the growth is constant, but like everything comes to you at that point. So becoming a master of your life is also, of course, giving back. Yeah, it's very important giving back. So when you embrace these tools, and those tools are part of, so you are able to master them, and it's let's say quite mandatory to share it, because we all, the more people become aware and embrace the journey of full awareness, the better, because of course the energy, the more we shift our energy, the more the vibration of the planet as well we shift. So I just this I'm going through this. So how it can help. So it's a journey of awareness. So becoming aware of your true self. It's like the sun. So when it shines on things, the things are transformed. It's about transforming ourselves. So the awareness precedes change. So that change. So we cannot say, I'm going to change, or like, I want to become something different. So there is you need a will. So you need to be willing to go through that journey. You want to be willing to make a change. So that change, though, can only happen if you're aware. And that awareness comes just through the tools, because even the tools are an instrument that we are going to share. But like, the journey is yours, because as we said before, we are all different. So I can share my experience on the journey, but like, your journey is yours. So whatever you're going to face through that journey is your personal experience. So that personal experience will bring you to a full awareness of who you truly are, and then through action you can make a change. Yeah. So that's basically that. And so the results, expect everything you have wished to become your reality, because that's what happens when you take that journey. The universe listens very well to you, and embracing the journey of a massive shift within your life, you can only make good things happen for yourself, but also for others around you.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Sweet. Thank you. So,
I want to add real quick. Manuela is a powerful community creator, currently focusing on projects in Portugal and Africa, all really exciting. From what I understand, you're using this program for the community member curation for the program in Portugal as well, right? I think this is really...
For any project, to be honest, because what we feel is like it's very important, like especially when we create communities, the more the people that embrace or a project or a community project itself, the more awareness we have and the more imbalance we have with ourselves, the better things can happen within a community. So that's why we're starting now. We've been creating this program as well for communities where it's actually divided in 3 steps because the actual Dharma Master is it has 3 levels. So it has one level that is basically every single person. So when a community decides to go through that journey, level 1 is it's a personal journey that every single person within the community goes through. And then you go level 2 and 3. So the level 2 is actually focused on the actual understanding of your body. So level 2 is understanding your body because the body, so everything comes through your body. Your body is expressing, is telling you things in every single moment of your day and of your life. So through that, so level 2 and 3 are actually done on site, so it can be within the community or through retreats. And level 3 is the level where you're actually becoming aware of everything that surrounds you, because also nature's talk to you. You got signs everywhere, so it's like embracing and understanding everything that is around you to truly actually embrace your journey, whichever it is, it's within a community, but even like in normal life, understanding what actually is happening and what you can do to make massive changes happening.
Cool. Beautiful, yeah. And so I'd like to, again, focus on the topic of collaborations. Just like with Andrew, we're going to collaborate with crypto. With Lee, we're going to collaborate on this personal infrastructure for decision making and governance. I can easily see a situation where there are multiple communities, and part of the point of the human element is to point out how important it is to create the space for humans to be exposed to these tools and practice using these tools in containers, like the pressure cooker. So an easy collaboration there would be like, hey, there's these communities, and we would love to do a Thursday toolkit workshop. Every Thursday at this community, every Wednesday at this community, for example. So this could be something cool that I look forward to talking to you about.
For sure.
Yeah, sweet.
Thank you so much.
Cool, thank you, Emma. Thank you for presenting.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now, that was a great presentation, talking about tools and toolkits for discovering ourselves and collaborating best with others. With this, we open the floor to Chelsea Zerna. Magician in the human element in lots of ways, both from an entrepreneurial and leadership aspect, and all the way through personal embodiment and leadership in a human level. Chelsea, please share. Thank you for joining.
Amazing. Thank you. I'm going to invite everyone to just stand up for a moment. We've been sitting for a while. And just shake, 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 shake. Oh, let's reset our energy.
Yeah.
Oh, shake out your legs. Shake out with your pop. Okay. Amazing. Give your friend a high five. Yeah. If you didn't find a friend. All right. Go ahead and have a seat. So my name is Chelsea Zerna, and we're going to be focusing on the human element today. My main personal focus is on leadership, and specifically feminine leadership. But in this topic today, we're going to be focusing on New Earth leadership, because that's kind of the topic for today. And the New Earth to me is switching the way that we live, the way that we lead, the way that we learn, and the way that we earn. So we had a program on crypto, which was all about earning. We had a program on now leadership, and obviously everything is learning. And we have living, which is you guys, that's your focus. So leadership is super important, and for this, we're gonna be diving into a few hands-on exercises. So can everyone kind of grab a partner?
All right, partners, partner up, partner up. Everyone,
we're gonna move in partners.
Pick your partners.
Yes,
Pick your buddies.
You can turn to the person next to you. Okay. All right. So yeah, today we're all going to go through. I just want to know who is actually here, present, and playing along.
We're here.
Yes, yes, yes.
How present
Kind
are
of.
we?
Patton.
How present are we?
We've got. It's okay if you're not present. I just want to make sure I know who I'm speaking to, because it scatters the energy just a little bit. Okay, cool.
We're present.
Amazing. This is our group. Okay, now I know who to speak to. It's important to me. Okay, so yeah, so Lee did an amazing job grounding sovereignty, and that's kind of the foundation, because you can't really get into this work without really understanding your triggers, because part of this work today that we're going to be doing here is giving you the tools to be able to process those triggers. So obviously the foundation of all this work is breath, sound, and movement. And today we're going to be taking the elements of communication. And breath, sound, and movement is great for emotional regulation. But then it comes the time to actually talk to somebody and communicate. So today is about learning how to hold space for somebody and also learning how to listen deeply. Do I have any really deep listeners here? Yeah, everybody. I know I got my Aquarian friends, deep listeners. We got everybody here. So good. Yes. Aquarians are always good listeners. It's amazing. So today we're going to really hone in on our listening skills, and we're also going to learn how to hold space and how to reflect back things to people. And obviously we live in these communities, so a lot of us do this all the time, but some of us don't, and some of us don't always have the tools and the foundational elements to take some of these things that come up and know what to do with them. Because when we're in a trigger, we feel that thing and it comes up into our throat, right? And it's just like, and then we want to yell and we're like, what do we do? And so when we can practice this in containers like this, we can learn how to do this when we're triggered. Right? So we're in a safe space right now and we're just practicing for fun. But when that moment hits, it's not going to be so easy. So we practice here so we can take it and use it when we actually need to. Does that make sense?
Yes. Very much.
Yes. Okay. Who here has heard of authentic relating? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, what is authentic relating?
Can you give your definition, please?
I would love to. Do you have an idea?
Maybe being your radical self when you are connecting with others and accepting and just appreciating others in their radical self.
Exactly. So radical authenticity is huge. Exactly. Does anyone else have an idea? What is authentic relating?
Relating authentically.
Relating vulnerably, relating authentically. Exactly. Perfect. Yeah, exactly. So it's basically a set of principles and frameworks so that we can develop intimacy. Into me, I see. So allowing ourselves to be seen and heard fully. And so we're going to be diving into just a few different exercises to really open ourselves up to being seen and being heard and seeing others and hearing others fully. Okay? Which is the foundation of communication. Really listening and being able to speak your truth. I don't know about you, but I grew up with a mother who never really expressed her truth. She was like the most loving human on the planet, but she unfortunately grew up in a really abusive household. So for her, she never wanted to create any conflict, and it was important for her to keep the energy harmonious. And it was never her intention to not tell the truth, but it was also not her intention to create conflict, and sometimes the truth has created conflict, right? And so this journey is about allowing ourselves to go deeper into what that truth is beyond the shadow. So now we just had 2 talks talking a little bit about shadow work, and the truth actually lies beyond the shadow, right? Because we're going to tell the truth that we feel the most comfortable expressing, but when there's a truth that can expose us or a truth that can create disharmony, we're going to be really uncomfortable telling that truth if we can't handle what's going to come back to us, or if we can't handle the process of another person reacting, or if we react challengingly, it's going to be hard for us to feel safe expressing ourselves and just to be heard fully. Does that make sense? Yeah, so this is about deepening truth and really owning what the truth is beyond the thing that we're comfortable expressing. A lot of people think vulnerability is just telling the same story over and over on stages. That's a really challenging story in your life. vulnerability is actually saying something that feels really deep and really like, I don't know how this is going to be received, and I'm going to say it anyways. Like that moment is the moment of actual vulnerability because you don't know how it's going to be received, and there's a little edge there. And so we're going to be playing with that edge a little bit. There are just a few different exercises that you can take home and use anytime, anywhere, in all of your relationships. Does that sound good? Yes. Okay, amazing. All right. So everyone have a partner, right? Who doesn't have a partner? They have a partner?
They have partners. They're authentic.
All right. Who here does not have a partner?
Okay, who needs a partner? Who wants to participate and needs a partner?
You guys,
Mariana, need a partner?
You guys have a partner? Everyone
Do
has a
does
partner.
anyone want a partner?
Oh,
Mariana
we have one
needs a
person who
partner?
needs a partner right here.
Anyone?
And we
Anyone
have
excited?
He's hiding
Anyone
in my
excited to do things?
Okay, cool. Okay. Amazing. Because it's really easy to come to these things and just like passively like hear some things, right? But it's a different thing to actually do something with it and to really like listen beyond hearing, right? So sound is like the first thing that we develop, the first sense that we develop when we're kids, right? Sound is one of the most important senses that we have. It's also the thing that is most underdeveloped, right? And so here we're like, how can we allow ourselves to listen and not just hear? So we're going to be doing this with our partner. Okay. So I'd like you to go ahead and turn to your partner. And we're going to do a little exercise. So go ahead and close your eyes for a moment and place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. And just take a deep breath with your eyes closed, feeling into how you're feeling in this moment. Starting off with the sensation in your body. Moving into the emotions that you're feeling. And lastly, moving into any thoughts that you have. And now with your eyes closed, tune into your partner's energy. Just feeling them, getting a sense for who they are. Now slowly open your eyes. And without saying anything, greet your partner with a little hello with your eyes. Amazing. So we're gonna ask a question, and the person with the longer hair, go ahead and raise your hand. So you're gonna be partner A, and we're gonna ask a question. What is one thing that you've been holding on to that you haven't yet let go of? This is a question that you're gonna answer, or you're gonna express to partner B. So partner A, I'd like you to answer this question to partner B. We're starting off with a big question. What is something that you haven't yet let go of that you're still holding on to? It doesn't have to be with this partner, right? It's just something in your life. So go ahead and take a minute and 30 seconds to share to partner B. And partner B, you're just going to be listening. Does everyone got it? All right, go ahead and share. And for everybody who's watching live, if you have a partner, you can do this exercise with us right now. partner A, take another 30 seconds to wrap up your share. All right, and bring your shares to a close. Now, partner B, did you find it hard to not say anything when partner A was speaking? Did any partner B say anything? No. Did you find it? You can just kind of assess internally. And now, partner B, to the best of your ability, you're going to reflect back to partner A what you just heard them say. Okay? So if you remember, and you try to use their language if you can instead of your own. So partner B, now you're going to be reflecting back, and partner A, you're just listening, okay? So partner B, go ahead and reflect back what you just heard partner A share. And take another 10 seconds to wrap up your reflections. And partner B's, close up your reflections. All right. Now partner A, you're going to tell partner B, how did it feel receiving that share? So what was the impact that it had on you hearing that reflection? Does that make sense? So you're going to say, how did that feel hearing that reflection? Okay, partner A, go ahead and share. All right, and take your shares to a close. All right. So I would love to hear, how was that for you to listen deeply? Was anyone able to fully reflect back what their partner said? You guys didn't know that was coming, you did. Okay, amazing. Yeah, you were able to? Amazing. So you can just notice your listening skills. You didn't know that you were going to be tested. This isn't a test. This is actually the best way to communicate and reflect. So when can we use this tool? Whenever we're in a conflict with somebody, right? This is a really good tool to use. Can everyone just like give me a big snap if you can hear me?
Tune in.
Yes. Okay, beautiful. No worries.
So
no
in
worries.
a conflict, Charles, how would you recommend this? Like, right? Maybe like, there's opposing views to something with different perspectives, and maybe communication gets a little less loving, and we start maybe
Yes.
pointing fingers and saying
Yeah.
you're doing this, and right
Yes.
tension starts. How
For
do
sure.
you like this moment of snapping in?
Yeah.
Right? Like Julie and I
Great
have
question.
a signal where we try to like monitor me mostly.
Great question.
How do you recommend getting people to snap into like, oh, let's do this, let's use this tool in the toolbox?
Yes, exactly.
I mean,
So when we're
yeah.
triggered by something, right, we feel that thing coming up and we're like, ah. So there's many ways that we handle this. And a lot of times doing this activity immediately isn't always necessarily the thing. We want to take time to self-regulate. And so everybody has a different tool and methodology for doing this. Some people do breath work, like Lee does this breath work. You know, you breathe it out and just self-regulate. Some people meditate for a second. Some people shake it off like we did in the beginning. You can dance. Whatever you need to do to move the energy and shift your state. That's the first thing. Because if you're approaching the conversation from the same state of being triggered, you're going to place all that energy into the other person. And so this is about self-regulation, taking full sovereignty of your emotional state of being before going into the conversation, because we all know when we're triggered, it's not about the other person. And it's not always their responsibility to hold space for us when we're triggered. The point of this exercise is to be seen and heard, but it's also to do it from a place of empowerment and sovereignty. And obviously, you know, we have super loving partners. We're able to hold space and help them get out of their triggers. But if we're both triggered, it's actually counterproductive to come at a conversation both from that space. So that's why we have all these practices of breath, sound, and movement to self-regulate, to calm our nervous system, so we can actually have these conversations from a place of, I took a moment, I reflected, and I'd love to share a few things. Are you in a space where you're able to have the conversation? And that's like setting up the authentic relating container. So before you just jump into this, you want to set the container by asking, are you in a space to actually do this right now? Because if they're not, what you're doing is taking on the role of like getting them into out of their trigger, and you're not actually being heard. Right, you're taking on the space of, okay, let me coach you out of this and let me help you, but I'm feeling this, so I'm gonna get roped into your trigger. So it's good, and if people aren't at a place where they know how to self-regulate, then you can choose to take on that role, or you can choose to guide them in a direction where they can do that. But this isn't necessarily the place for self-regulation. This is the place for coming at a conversation when you are two sovereign souls that are ready to express and share and feel heard, and maybe have this dialogue of like, oh wow, I fully hear you. Oh wow, I didn't recognize that. I see it from your point of view. Thank you for hearing me, right? That's what comes out of these conversations. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? Okay. Amazing. So as we're building up these communities, here's the thing, like, these are going to be popping up all over the world, right? We're seeing these all over in every single country. We've got like 200 of them already on this document and all these different things, and it's super incredible. And it's amazing to have the foundations and the structures and the things, but we're moving into this feminine economy right now, right? And so as we build these things, we get to choose how we actually build. Does anyone know what a feminine economy means?
Please share.
Like operating in circular structures, right? So before, you were used to moving in hierarchies. Now we're starting to move in circular structures, right? Regeneration means you don't just use something and then it dies, or you use something and throw it away. It means you use it and it comes back around. It's regeneration. So everything that we're doing is building in these circular motions, in these spirals, very feminine, whereas the masculine moves in straight lines, right? The feminine moves in these circles. So as we shift, we're gonna start structuring our like right now we're sitting in this beautiful circle, right? All of our communities are going to start getting formed that way. So it's really important for us to come at it with these human element principles, so that we can be the voice for how to actually shape what happens when, okay, great, you have the water systems in place, the permaculture in place, you have this in place, and then it's like now we have the people and everyone's arguing and the whole community just shut down because nobody knows how to handle conflict. So when we can come at it with these voices of how do we operate in a feminine economy, how do we operate from a place of harmony, then we can start actually building systems that work. And we can actually start structuring this based on the new earth. So yeah, I think that's kind of all I have to share today. I'd love for you to take all these structures
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Charles.
Thank you.
Yeah, so again, easy connection here, right? As these places are all popping up, they're all going to seek as individuals, we seek mentors, coaches, healers, consultants to share their tool chest with us. As these communities pop up, our goal is to not just help them with infrastructure and building and things, it's also to help with the magicians that can help bring in these toolboxes to these communities. And doing a tour, for example, through communities, sharing these toolboxes like this, or leaving them with a guidebook like the one Lee was talking about. These are kind of the strategies that, as our empowerment of community comes, it's definitely through networking and the middleman process of connecting people to things they need. This human element piece is one of the biggest ones. So yeah, we totally look forward to like sharing your curriculum, both of you, Lee as well, your curriculums for tools to connect with selves, connect with each other, and connect with the communities. We're making really good time today, you guys, and we want to share a guest speaker who was on the new flyer we shared, a newcomer to Tulum who is making waves in the space, in both the human relating space, through tantric practices and self-mastery practices. Shaf Dudin, a friend we met at a budding new community project near Merida called Hedonia, a community based on hedonism, the pursuit of pleasure and what makes us happy. And we met there through some activations, and we all came to Tulum together afterwards, and we've been seeing each other everywhere since. And we're grateful that he's here to share his magic, his light, his unicorn energy with the group. Please share with us things that you have explored in your journey of finding yourself, and what are some tools that you take from that you could see easily being applied to a community sense. Yeah,
I've sent you a little picture in your Instagram, which summarizes what I do. I'm usually a stranger in a strange land. I kind of look different to everybody else and move different to everybody else and speak different to everyone else because I'm just an Aquarian channeling the future into this dimension. So the ultimate game of the simulation, if you believe we're in a computer game, is to be yourself. There is a price to that, and that is, anyone know what that price is? Release, yes. One more.
Nothing, I'll let them do it.
The destruction of your ego and personality.
That's part of the evolutionary step. Yes, I like to design myself these days. It's judgment. Judgment from other people. And the inner judge, which is actually programs from your mum and dad saying, "You're too much, shut up, your voice is crap, you can't sing." That's everything that happened to me, I'm trying to sing. So it's all these constructs that have been codes that have been planted inside of you, which has suppressed you. And the key for me is to surround myself with better versions of myself. That's how I win the computer game. So what I realize is there's a meme that goes around the internet, which is before you diagnose yourself with stress, depression, anxiety, just make sure you're not surrounded by assholes. So I was like, oh, I've been surrounding myself with assholes. So what I did was, what's the opposite of that? I'll surround myself with better versions of myself. So my background is Tantra. It's through the body experiences. Everything you guys have taught, I was like, hang on, that's Tantra, breast down movement, that's Tantra. What are you saying? It's Tantra. Yeah. What are you doing? It's Tantra. It's all Tantra.
It is.
It's all Tantra, exactly. It's all the same stuff. And when I got out of the bubble of the female empowerment industry and Tantra, I discovered Tony Robbins, and I discovered other people like Emily Fletcher in Mind Valley, and other things. It's all Tantra. There's a great podcast that came out with Audrey someone and Emily Fletcher, and they literally talk about getting Tantra to teens. They talk about sex magic in huge arenas. Like, it's all about community and connection and boundaries. And
working on it, my computer first.
okay, great. So there's an old tantric practice that I did. It's called yoni gazing. And I stare at the sacred space, the portal of creation itself, and I ask the question, what is the meaning of life? The big question. And that guy over there described it already. It's I do it in 4 stages, and this is what the Great Universe said. It's creation, and I'm an artist. I was born an artist. I'm still doing the same thing in my bedroom that I did when I was 7 or 8 years old. I'm just creating content. Back then it was called being a director. Now it's like content creator. But I'm just making art. Who am I doing it for? My target audience was meant to be Goop and Gwyneth Paltrow, I know audience, but I'm just doing it for myself, and I don't even have a vagina. Like, everything I do is for women, but I just do it because it makes me happy, and all the art I create is just for me. Terrible at sales, but it makes me happy, and that's the key thing. Through my creation, my art, my expression, I end up collaborating. Random people end up finding me and seeing me, and they want to create with me, which is amazing. And through the collaboration is serving a community. And that community grows exponentially because the seeds and the culture changes, and in that way, with a bigger platform, we get impact, global impact. So I use breath, sound and movement. I use breath work. I realized that I'm that guy. Me, just walking around by myself, going into major towns and cities and workplaces. I call it wellness in the workplace. I can't call it sacredsexualawakening.com, which is my business, yoni massages. But somehow I got to infiltrate the place where I came from. Like, I have a big choice in my life next week. Go back and work for Disney, or somehow make a living here. Disney, 9 to 5. Being paid to be myself. It's actually a 50-50. I will probably take that one, to be honest, because I can have bigger impact where I'm going in London. There's 9 million people there. I want the Shaft show to be the biggest show on the planet because I don't want to burn out giving these tools to individuals or tiny groups. There's got to be a way where I could have a massive platform, TV entertainment, share these tools to billions of people across the planet through a reality TV show. People will watch shit. Let's get them enlightened through watching shit. So I basically want to create a platform, a reality TV show, which is kind of like a tantra retreat, basically, or something like this. Have live streams, whatever. And in every episode, there's people that go through a transformational experience with Shaft. And at the other side, they come out feeling a little bit lighter, a little bit more in love with themselves, and installing this mantra to billions of people, which is, and repeat after me, I love my life!
I love my life!
I love my body!
I love my body!
I love myself.
I love myself.
So that means, and number 1 is, I love my life. Finding your purpose and loving what you do every day. I work from the outside in. The other way is way too fucking hard, and I'm lazy, so I will get stuff done quicker. I love my body, and that means unlocking the body, finding out how to regulate your nervous system, release the right chemicals in your brain, release the testosterone in your body so you can have more decision, like release oxytocin so you fall in love with yourself, semen retention so you could live forever, harness your sexual energy and like set intentions so you could just manifest anything like that. Next one, the final one is loving yourself, the hardest part which I kept till last, and that means to find inner peace every day and know that you are enough. So there's 1 billion technologies installed inside of this body. I'm able to go into any space and do weird shit. And people are open to weird shit because it's just different. It's repacking ancient technology, which is what everyone's done, and I'm just turning it into fun entertainment shit whilst we could like connect through playfulness. Without fear cannot exist with playfulness. Like, and curiosity. If you get people into their childlike state, I got a thing called social anxiety. I do not speak like this outside of that door. He's given me permission for me to be me. I pray to Shiva that I could be this person outside of that door, but I'm struggling. Like, that's my truth and my vulnerability. I struggle. So my mission on my personal journey is to be that guy without permission. And I will do it. And then I will show everyone how to do it.
Yes, you will.
Quick presentation.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, beautiful. Good.
Thank you.
One question. All right. So,
Yeah.
out of all of your practices, things that you've done collectively for yourself, what are some things that you would definitely recommend that can create a positive impact in a collaborative setting between people? Maybe one exercise, like Chelsea shared a good exercise with us. Something that you would share to suggest someone with a community or thinking about creating a community to be like, okay, this is going to be our every Tuesday afternoon practice.
I always say, share your passions rather than going around sharing your problems. I'm in my moment in my life. I can't lie. It's all over my Instagram and social media channels. I'm in a downward spiral.
Okay.
I can't get out of that spiral if I don't start talking about my passions. I need to be in an upward spiral.
Right.
I'm in an environment right now where it's actually really hard for me to talk shit about myself and talk about my problems because they're not my problems anymore. Like, I need to be in an upward spiral. So go around talking about your passions rather than your problems. Through that, you'll find someone that will say, hey, my uncle does that. Maybe they can help you.
Right.
Like, I'm able to manifest stuff like that because when I'm in an upward cycle, I'm just going around, I got a mission, I got a dream, I got this, I got that. But now I'm just going, I'm traumatized.
Right, okay.
So that's a tool.
Well, yeah, this is one of like, there's a system called Dragon Dreaming that is like a variation of project management for collective efforts. And right, part of it is dreaming, planning, executing, and the most critical part at the end is the celebration. Right, as humans, we genetically have been ingrained with dancing around the fire, playing music and dancing with each other. And so this celebratory moment comes from sharing our highlights.
Yes.
And sharing the things that we are excited for and doing it with intention, which is kind of the purpose here, to share things that we are working on and directly ask, right? Hey, that's awesome. I would love to integrate this at this community event that's coming up in a month.
Yes.
What does that look like for you? What does it look like for you to do curriculum for a community that's opening next month? Or to write up a onboarding package for new community members?
In Sweden, in Sweden, like during COVID time, we couldn't do workshops because there's curfews and stuff. So we would go from one house to another. We had a decentralized venue, and we had a decentralized facilitator. So every week we'll go to one person's house, and they'll share their passion, and they'll lead the workshop. We called ourselves the Juicy Entrepreneurs, and then the week after, someone will lead that workshop, and they will share their passions. So throughout this whole period, we were all in some kind of collaborative project together. And the goal was to create such a big awareness around the Juicy Entrepreneurs that people would just want to join us. So it was a social media project. My background is I've actually created culture in mainstream society around being a unicorn. Like, millions of people became a unicorn, or Tantra. 40 million people got introduced to Tantra. Like, I've created dents in the collective consciousness because my background's advertising, and I thought, how can I actually sell love rather than fear? And it's through getting really fun people together doing fun stuff and then sharing it, and then naturally people are like, can I come to your next Juicy Entrepreneur thing? It's like, no, we're still closed container, there's 12 of us, and we just want to cultivate this, and then more and more people start wanting to come, and then we slowly grow and grow and grow and grow.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a cool practice and cool thing to include in the community space. Okay, so I would love to invite our speakers up, have a seat on the couch, and we're going to do kind of a small panel where we are going to discuss maybe topics that the audience could have, friends listening in online, questions they might want to ask about this human element piece, which we know from projects that we've worked with that have infrastructure and have structures, but are missing the heart of the community. They're missing the people. They're missing the practices that unite all the people. Welcome you guys. Lee's on his way back in a second. Right, we have some members in the audience here that are parts of communities, starting communities, and we have discussed some of the topics of the human element piece, right? You guys each share pieces of your toolkits along with Lee. He's coming back. What's up, Lee?
He's just eating his mango.
Yeah, he's just eating his mango protein. So pieces of this human element, right? We've all shared tools from our toolkit today. Did any of you hear a tool in one of your peers' toolkits that maybe you never knew of? Right, Shaft, you shared that you've seen many of these tools through the tantric lens, right? Have you guys heard of each other's tools, practiced each other's tools, or maybe never heard of each other's? Anything? This natural law piece to me is like a newer thing, like a newer word to describe something that seems logical, but as humans, it makes us feel more comfortable when it's like written down and put up there. Interaction, you guys? Anything new? Anything that you have practiced or haven't practiced?
Practice all the three of them.
Okay, nice, nice.
Yeah, I think I've done a lot of these different components in many different versions. I think the natural law was pretty interesting, like putting it in terms of what makes us tied to a system, because this is something that's like new. It's like taking sovereignty and tying it to something that we haven't really experienced before. So I think it's cool.
Okay, sweet, nice. Okay, so you guys, you create your own community space, and you're trying to create the human element piece, right? You're trying to hold the space for people to find themselves, heal, learn how to connect with others. What is one practice that you would each implement in that space that you get to create once a week, or maybe once a month, or maybe every day? What would be a practice that you would for sure implement in this space?
I would say coming into council on a regular basis.
Okay, to council.
Yeah.
Describe that more. Like everyone
So,
comes. Yeah.
yeah, everyone from the community actually comes together, and we share what's up for us in the moment, and if there are any, triggers or conflicts that are actually happening, then we actually would resolve them as a community. And if it, depending on the level of the conflict, maybe that breaks off into like smaller groups to one-on-one with like a mediator or something like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So weekly gatherings where we get to share, be heard, share what we're feeling, and potentially create like a task force to have those parties involved, share, and have more listening, and maybe even have mediators, right? Bridges, to share and remind, hey guys, we all have the same or very similar high-level goal, and not only is it awesome that we're sharing our different perspectives, although challenging it sometimes, it's the best win for all of us. Because when you're looking at something from this side, and I'm looking at it from this side, sure, we could not be in agreement, but we are stronger because we both are covering each other's blind side. And so,
Same thing from different perspectives.
right, exactly. This console concept is really great, and definitely I'm adding, so we have made a playlist from all of the points, all of the masterminds have been sharing in all of the workshops. One of these talking circles, console circles, I will be adding to this Google Doc that we're sharing, and we'll be cleaning up and sharing with everyone at the end of the workshop series. So console circle, cool, yeah, totally agree with that. Okay?
For me, okay, with Leah being speaking this earlier, the governance aspect is very important. So the natural law is something that we actually base in our communities on.
Right.
So I think that is actually implemented within the land and the rhythm of everything that is happening within it. But yes, definitely finding spaces as Lee, the spaces we're creating are predominantly on the holistic aspect. So everything we go through a certain journey that we discussed before, and those tools need to be implemented in everything that we do. So there's no excuses when you're becoming aware of what's possible, when you're growing, etc. So, but yes, finding space as well to go back to center and just open up that conversation. Because sometimes,
you might, with the rhythm as well, with the communities in curation, co-creation, etc., you might get a bit, you're just like, okay, let's leave it there until someone will pick it up. No.
Right, right.
You need to set that particular moment where everybody gather back again and yes, work on this for sure.
Right.
It's the only way to move forward.
It happens a lot when there's a lot of moving pieces. We
Yes.
tend to get into a reactive state where
Yeah.
we're putting out fires
Yeah.
instead of being in a proactive state where we are setting agendas ahead of time to have these talking circles, to hold the space for these
Yes,
talks.
yes.
A quote I read recently that I really loved was that it's much better, specifically in communities, that things are explicitly agreed on through a onboarding process, through a series of principles that are written, and kind of the guidebook, you can call it, instead of implicitly just, oh, we kind of know what we would do in that scenario. And the reality is it's a journey. We're never going to map out all of the outside cases that could happen in a scenario where like this happened and then this situation caused some unheard of conflict. But having strong foundations like the natural law piece, like where we share openly what we're feeling and that we need some kind of retribution because we are not able to let something go. These are all really important pieces to explicitly share and identify to allow multiple humans to really align and connect and collaborate and co-create. Okay.
What she does as well is very powerful, and because what I feel like when we work on those dynamics is like giving tools to people to embrace their true self. It's actually becoming leader of themselves. So it's very important to also tap into that and just stimulate those aspects of someone's life, because sometimes they also tend to maybe naturally they just step out, but others they actually leader within, but they don't know how to get it all out. So it's really important to embrace that. I love all over. All over.
And responsibility, like
Yeah,
that, like a
responsibility.
self-reflection checklist of like, okay,
Yeah.
how am I in this moment? Did that
Right.
trigger me? Okay. Yes. Why? Okay. Right. And like through that process, I feel like it will allow every individual to come more fully into the present moment. Right. And then that's where all the magic is. You know, we're not worried about the future, thinking about the past. It's like we're here now, and then from that space, we're able to actually move forward. Okay. How am I feeling? You know, why do I feel like this? Okay.
Right. And
And
so
going around stuff.
being in that present moment and realizing that we shouldn't externalize, right? This keeps us in our power. This situation is happening and I'm aware how I'm feeling because of things that are inside of me versus, oh, because that person is doing that, I'm feeling this way. We literally and effectively remove our own power, our creator ability of creating our subjective experience by allowing someone else to be responsible for that. So, okay, cool, yeah, and this comes from leadership as well, yeah, totally. Charles, practice, you would implement in your community.
Well,
in your treehouse
definitely
community.
authentic relating. I think that would be
Yeah.
huge. But I would say the other thing is also like purpose is really important. And there's these zones around the world called blue zones. And part of there's this blue zones. It's basically people in the world that live like over 100 years old, and they have like super longevity. And part of what they all have in common is this concept called ikigai. And it's the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. And in the center, there's like this place. It's called it's your reason for being. And I think when people are connected to that, they're also really connected to like a higher purpose in themselves. And anyone that's going to be a part of the community, I would really want them to not only be enrolled in the vision of the community, but also have like a role that they feel super excited about. And so for me, I think I'd bring in this element of share your magic. You know, my friend Eddie and I used to run this thing in Tulum called Share Your Magic, and everyone would come and bring their gift into the space. And it was kind of like interesting to see where people gravitated. And I think like when people are finding their role in a community, it's important to give people the spaciousness to do that. And then also like obviously some people are super connected to it and they know it right off the bat. But if they're not, it's nice to kind of have everybody find their place so that people aren't just joining a community and then being like, great, I'm going to be supported. Because there's also the sovereignty element of how do I support myself sovereignly? And I think like for me that would be like a really big key
So what would that look like? What would the activation look like?
Well, maybe I would do a share your magic night, where everybody can come and actually like give their gifts and get their magic and feel empowered and safe to actually be like, can I try this thing? Can I do this thing? And step into that role
Right,
as a like leading in the community. Some people feel like they need permission to lead, and so it's kind of nice to just like be like, okay, here's a night if everyone gets permission to lead, and now from that place, what are you actually going to lead? And
Cool.
yeah, I think it's just like
Cool, that's nice. Yeah, giving people the opportunity to shine their brightest,
yeah.
and holding a space for them and an audience for them.
Yeah.
And we're all neighbors, and we're all working on
Totally.
permaculture together, or on some purpose-driven initiative with our magic and our skills. Cool, that's a really cool one. Share your magic. Yeah, that's awesome.
I feel like that would overflow into like zones of genius that everyone is able to offer within the community as well.
Right.
If some people love cutting hair, okay, like you're the
Right.
hairdresser
Yeah.
within the community. You know, like,
Right, that's cool,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, because then and then that becomes a form of energy exchange
Mhm.
as well, rather than like just a monetary kind of thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Potential.
Yeah, that's awesome. Right. Mapping out the magic in the community to see like where these ties are, right? A process our team likes to follow up on is each person that we meet is a dot on this map. And each one of these dots has both a line of magic that they like to share coming out of it and a line of what they could use support with. And once we get enough dots and lines mapped, it's very obvious to see intersections on this like sphere. And so situations like this help propagate this practice, which I'm a big fan of course. And it's nice to do it within, right, the stronghold of the community. So cool, yeah, it's a cool one. Share your magic. Shao, what would you do in your community regularly to create this human element?
So my middle name's Islam, and I love religion. And the bubbles I've been in, we just copy religious technologies.
Right.
So every Sunday we come together and there's a big ecstatic dance. We use the pagan Viking fertility festivals, which is conscious orgies on the full moon.
Cool.
And that's where the communities come together and we have a collective intention. Like it's very powerful, it's huge collective sex magic.
Right.
We have devotional singing. So again, bringing people together through the joy of singing.
Right.
It happens in every single religion, from gospel choirs to kirtan.
Right.
Having your own mantra, like my core belief is, I hate myself,
Mhm.
and I had to change it to, I love myself. My core belief was, I hate my life, and I had to change it to, I love my life. So whatever your core wounding, your inner monologue is, it's the opposite of that. My mum has these beads, and my mum like goes, Allahu, 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 Allahu. When I became tantric, I started doing Om Namo Shiva, Om Namo Shiva, Om Namo Shiva. And when I retired, I started using the mantra Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, which is praying to Goddess Lakshmi, and then I retired. Like I've been retired because of these mantras.
Right.
So and Transcendental Meditation uses 108 mantras, and it's just made up mantras.
Right.
So why don't you get a person to talk about their biggest fears, find out what their key programming is. So mine was I hate my life, or I hate myself, I hate my body. The opposite of that, and then just say that every single day for 3 weeks, and then your brain will change, your body will change, your subconscious will change, and then you'll be more productive in the community.
Right. Yeah. This
So it's
touches.
just using religious artifacts. It's been done for
Cool.
centuries. It works
Right.
because I'm living proof of it, and it's great.
Right. Yeah, man. Same machine, different makeup. You can say, right?
And
This is-
having 10 principles as well.
Okay.
Like
principles.
Burning Man has 10 principles.
Right.
The 10 principles unicornia, which I developed in Jerusalem, and like then we packaged it for Tantra. Like it's all the same stuff.
Right, man. Right. The good stuff sticks. Okay. Cool. So, what would that practice look like? Well, any of these like experiences where people come together, people connect.
Ecstatic dances on a Sunday,
Cool.
devotional singing on a Thursday. Like this is why I have the Shaft show.
Right.
It packages all of that on a big event.
Okay.
And brings people together.
Cool. All right, very nice, sweet. Who of you have lived in a community setting? Like it could be a house with 3 or more people, or it could be a big, large community project where everyone has their own house and they have shared space. Yeah? Yes? Okay. What would you say was one of the most challenging things in your time in this space, or one of these spaces? Each of you, just popcorn style, and you can think of it.
One person with a lot of drama.
One person with a lot of drama.
Yeah, it only takes one person.
Okay,
Destroy
okay.
a whole community.
Okay, okay, and they brought this in. Okay, but I'm gonna ask a follow-up question to this once you think of it. Like, what would you see now with being in the safe space and seeing all of these tools? What would be a tool we could implement to help curb that situation? Right? So, okay, so one bad apple gets the crop, let's say. Okay, so that's one scenario. What about you guys? Any scenarios you experienced that were difficult or challenging, or you saw really negatively affected the collective?
So just that, like everybody kind of operating completely autonomous
Okay.
without any kind of anything
Lack
to
of
gel.
cohesion.
Yeah.
Lack
without
of
anything to
cohesion.
gel. Yeah.
Okay, cool, cool.
Lack of being able to share or giving back.
Okay, so maybe
Lack of sharing predominantly.
Lack of sharing,
Like
okay.
being in a space, seeing people being in a space, all of them sharing and just taking, but not actually sharing.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so lack of sharing, lack of cohesion, and one bad apple.
Also, outsiders' perceptions
Judgments.
Not
Right.
cleaning
Yeah,
up after
same.
themselves.
about
Yeah.
the community,
Yeah.
thinking it's a
Okay,
sex
okay.
cult.
And for me, it was like distraction. Because like I lived in a space where there was like so much connection and so many people hugging all the time, and it was amazing. But I also felt distracted constantly because like one person would come by, start an hour-long conversation. I had to leave the
Right.
house, and I was like, all right, I can't. You know, I
Yeah, tell
just
us
need
about
some
it.
space.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so much connection that it's potentially, you could say here, it's the lack of personal
Boundaries.
space,
Yeah.
right? To have your own space. Okay, so with the things we've talked about today and maybe other practices, everyone in the audience, please also share. How can we mitigate the risk of one person that potentially leads the group astray or changes the flow of the event, right? I, for one, I'm an advocate of like the intervention. Sometimes it can put a little bit of social pressure on that person, but when a lot of people are feeling the same way, I think it's almost a kind thing to do, especially in this like very spiritual world where none of us want to judge and everyone wants to accept everything. Someone just has to say it sometimes and be the one that's like, hey, person, many of us are feeling this way about some of these situations, and we would love to express this in an open-hearted, loving way. That how can we maybe change some of this, right? So you understand more some of our boundaries. That would be one kind of option. How do you guys feel?
That's love always tells the truth.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Love always
and,
tells the
and
truth.
authentic
Beautiful.
relating,
Uh-huh.
right? Like, hey, this is, maybe this is something that you can reflect on,
Mhm.
and that's, akin to the shadow. It's like, wow, I really wasn't even aware of it.
Right, many times.
Yeah.
We're just
Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Right,
I'll
right.
Yeah.
try to do better.
Cool.
So, yeah.
I lived in this community in Atlanta, and there was probably like 30, 40 people in the community, and every single week they would meet in pods, and they'd have the same pod for 10 weeks, and they would have this thing where they would reflect once a quarter or something to each other how they came across to everybody else.
Uh-huh.
So they would actually be in constant reflection, so they would actually be giving feedback, and so they would go through this like process constantly.
Okay, so how would that look? So let's say we're a pod.
We would have a checklist, and we would say, okay, this person comes across like this, 1 to 5, yes. And then we would receive it, and then we'd share the actual feedback with them after, when it was their turn. We would all say, okay, great, this is kind of how this is how, I've witnessed you, and theirs was very much about like, there was 3 categories, like personal growth, like fitness, and just like the way that you, and like, I don't know, there was like these categories, and
Okay.
it was really in depth.
Wow.
And they all had like relationship agreements, so everybody in the community had like relationship agreements with everybody. It was just like super, like,
Well, could you get copies
Nice.
of these like papers or however
Yeah.
that thing? That would be really awesome. I would love to look at
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
I experienced something similar to that in the military, where in our platoon of 50 or 60 guys, we would rank each other every 2 weeks, from like best performing recruit to least performing recruit. And this was such a hard reflection for some people, because they were like always in the bottom 5, for example. And it showed us as a platoon, like we are only as strong as the weakest link, let's say. And it really gave us consciousness to be like, okay, why do we all feel this person's lacking? How can we all support in his coming up
Yeah, it's a
through these
structure of
rankings.
accountability.
So that, I haven't heard of that since then. I would love to see it in a collective, more open-hearted sense. The military's a bit rough. So that was a bit like full frontal, this like ranking system. But that sounds really cool. Okay, so.
Yeah, I would like to add to this too. I think like when it comes, I'm a big fan of creating systems and measures that work preventively. When it comes to distraction, for example, maybe having clear signs, like when I'm working on a table and I put up like a little blue flag, I don't want to be disturbed. Like you can come in and hug everyone else, but you know, like don't talk to me. When I put it down, you can come. Or when my door is closed, it is closed. When it's open, you're welcome to say hello. What was your point again?
One bad apple.
One bad apple, yeah. Like having really clear guidelines and scripts beforehand. This is how we deal with conflict. This is what happens when the group feels uncomfortable with someone. I think it creates a lot of a sense of like safety or security. I don't know if this is the right term in the space too, because I think like the just fearing an intervention or fearing for a situation to go this or that way psychologically is much worse than the situation itself, right? So to actually know like, okay, something is going wrong here or something is going out of place and this is how the community is going to deal with it, gives everyone a good feeling. The person that, you know, is in the center of the situation, but everyone else around it too. There's a lot we can do when we just create systems around it that also work with nonverbal communication, because that can be difficult, right? Something as easy as a flag or so just you know, releases everyone from the pressure of like sending someone away or be feeling rude about not saying hello or you know, everything that comes with it. Right?
At Ikumal, closer to the end of the project, we had been living together for a while. It was like dead of summer, so everyone was hot and irritable. And we all discussed a technique to wear this like beaded necklace. And when you're wearing this beaded necklace, like, I don't want hugs right now. I'm in my thing, and I have to eat. And we had one shared kitchen and a shared eating space. So this was one of these practices that made it easy for us to not have to say no, but just like nonverbal communication. And it's a cool, yeah, it's a powerful.
It's really good that you're bringing this up. We have to have this in our house. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's on my symbol. I don't.
My son is talking to you. It's not that clear for me, but yeah, but we are working in one phase and like. I'm very focused, and then somebody just grabbed the coffee and feeling particularly chatty and like, you know, trying to have a conversation is, you know, you want to have this, and then it goes the other way around. Sometimes I'm feeling super chatty and I'm like, oh, let me just talk to Julia with like AirPods on and have a conversation right now, you know?
In Peru.
So it's really good to put it out there, and it's like not personal at all. Like conversation, verbal communication can be very personal. You can feel it, you know, straight to you, and it's not. You're like, okay, this is
right,
my
I'm just doing my thing right.
Right. It's a yes to you, not a no to me. And this feels super good to like be in that comfort zone.
And in Peru, when I went into a dieta, and there's certain times where you're silent, and there's this tree, and you just put this on your forehead like a red thing, and that was a symbol for like silence. So you can't talk to that person because they're in silence.
That's cool.
And it's like natural stuff, and it's like obviously right on your forehead.
Yeah.
It's very clear.
Can't miss it. It's like, fuck off. It's dumb.
It's like
It's better than writing fuck off.
Yeah, it's kind. It's not hard open thing.
Yeah.
You gotta put it with the middle finger. Okay, so some solutions for this. Yeah.
So what do you do with other people's perceptions, the outside community looking at this like flourishing, juicy, alive community, and they start making stories about that community?
Right.
How do you deal with that?
I don't know. Anyone have feelings for that? Go, yeah. Describe
My
it.
process in Iceland at the moment is a fucking shit show over there.
Yeah, so the judgments that come from an exterior population looking in at like things going on, right? Maybe certain practices they don't understand because they don't. Right.
Like Osho.
Yeah,
A lot of
exactly, like
people
an
thought that
Osho
Osho
situation.
was, I think Osho didn't give a fuck. And he wrote books, and he educated.
Right.
Yeah.
Education, I think, is one of these to put out, to take the time to share the value of why these things work, right? I think leading with why is a really strong thing that Simon Sinek put out there. And it really reminds me when bringing on new members to a team, when we're describing like, okay, we have to do this kind of not so fun task, and when they're doing it just because they're like, oh, they're just doing it because this is what they think is best, you don't get the best performance. But when they understand why we're doing this task that maybe isn't so fun to do, it can probably also help in this scenario, would be my guess. I'm like, I come from my mother was the best and she built me for who I am and I'm grateful for her. And the judgment game, I'm like, I stand strong in presence of judgment, so I don't put a lot of thought into it at times.
Yeah.
But this, I think, educating and sharing the benefits and the why it is that we do these things could kind of tone that down for some people. Mm-hmm.
I think very much as well. I probably work on helping, like align with the energy within the community, because the energy that you actually bring in, or the people that are part of the community, is actually the energy that you want to bring forward. So it doesn't matter.
Right.
Judgment, no, it's okay.
We should invite
They
them
don't.
in.
Yeah, it's like judgment comes from ignorance, from not knowing something. So it's like this space is open. If you're willing to learn, good. If not, this is our way.
Okay, at the moment I'm going through a very interesting scenario in Iceland with one of the ashrams I was in, and it's in the national newspapers, and there's like so much going on over there. It's like a lot.
Right.
Luckily, none of it's true.
Right.
So it's like, oh, this is terrible.
Right. It's a more
But luckily,
conservative. It's a more
eventually-
conservative place where it is.
Super
potentially,
conservative,
right.
and yeah, they're just thinking what we do normally as witchcraft and like terrible
Right,
things,
right,
and so
right.
there's a witch hunt against my friend who owns his spiritual center.
Okay.
So luckily, with time, all the bad press has led into good press.
Right.
Because there's their side of the story now being
Right.
exposed.
Right. I mean, part of it is also being mindful of others' subjective experience.
Yeah.
Right, I came really to terms with this at Hedonia, a space that for some is maybe like really unique and different than the traditional, like what love is or what relationships are, let's say. And I became acutely aware of each person in the room's subjective experience to something, right? You would see some faces of like amazement and other faces of like just shock and awe, you know? And so to respect and value and accept what people are feeling in these moments and try to speak their language better. You know, again, I think education is a big one for this.
Yeah, like
and I'll relate it to the law of common tie. It's not, we're not trying to get anyone or like,
Right.
it's really about that level of nobility, of honor, of authenticity. Of hey, maybe you don't know about this, and I'd love to educate you. Are you open to that?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and to bring people along to kind of these new ways, the new world, the new way of operating, and say like, I'd just love to share this with you.
Right. Okay, right. Education. Right?
education. That's
Education and love, right?
That's a
Yeah,
huge
always.
takeaway for me to
Yeah.
understand that.
Cool.
Like,
Even if I make a massive selection beforehand, because you don't want to have the bad apple that is just maybe there just for the purpose of even, like make a selection of what
And I think this is also a good point too, just like as we move into this more like feminine space, like I imagine that I'm gonna be living in a community of women drinking their menstrual blood. Like imagine if that got out on the news, like I know all of my friends do that. Everyone's probably like, hey.
I'm
But
drinking it as well, so
you-
that's frowned upon in outside world stuff.
and
It's
like
just normal.
that would totally be considered like
It could be. That's
like,
it could be.
but at the same time, it's like, well, that's part of just our connection to the earth, and like,
Right.
I don't know, it would be very like interesting if people were to be like, what's happening over here, and how to actually like work with that energy.
Right. This is a really interesting one.
Yeah.
Right? Because you need some level of like sharing campaign and education campaign of why, how, right? Some people walk in a room and dip their fingers in water and do one of these. Like, what's up with that? Well, that could be weird, but it's just normalized.
Exactly.
Why?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
create a conscious media channel, conscious
Right,
news channel that
right.
actually
Yeah,
Mhm.
Education.
they do
Cool,
the
yeah.
work
Yeah,
like
yeah.
shifting together.
Yeah. And then you obviously invite them over to have blood shakes.
Blood.
I totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about the bad apple scenario by explicitly sharing structures to deal with scenarios with people. Right, we talked about potential judgments coming from the outside.
Education, that's a big takeaway.
Mhm.
I think.
Okay, what was one of the other pieces that we shared here? Of things that we didn't, or were difficulties in the community and solutions to mitigate these things. What did you say, Chelsea? What was yours?
Boundaries. She talked about just having this.
Right. Oh, right. Setting up a
Necklace.
nonverbal system, also a verbal system, maybe schedules. Also, I think it's important to create the spaces for this kind of thing. Like, it's nice to have a big open space where everyone can hang out, but even here, there's smaller offices where only small groups, breakout rooms can hang out. And then ideally, there would be rooms where it's just like individual phone booths, like at a WeWork, where you have your own little box, and this is where I'm at. You can even put like a do not disturb thing on the wall.
Or the feminine versions. Hopefully, you're not smushed into a telephone pole until a telephone box.
Right.
But
Or a telephone pole.
spaciousness and nature.
Right, anyway, you can just go sit amongst the
white
trees.
wall.
Right. You can go sit amongst the trees outside and have a little cabana. Okay,
That's
cool.
what
So
I was.
creating
I
the
didn't
space.
have
All
my
right.
mind.
Emma, what was yours?
Mine was not sharing.
Right, people not sharing.
People not sharing.
Okay, so any ideas in the crowd? How do we encourage our peers to share? Right.
And in this case, it was in a situation where it wasn't about sharing something that was theirs,
Mhm.
but was literally taking sort of advantage of what was given and not
Mm.
sharing with the others.
Okay, interesting.
So
Interesting. Okay. Again, I think framework helps with this. Like
Sure.
each person gets one, and then maybe we agree on
Sure.
who could use the most support, and maybe they get a little more than others. Some kind of like collaborative voting system like that could help. Having a good voting system always works, which is the conversation with DAOs and Andrew that we've been having. Any ideas? Anything else? Any
Maybe,
other
maybe like
suggestions?
acknowledging directly to that person like where scarcity is coming from.
Right?
'Cause it's
Yeah,
almost
yeah,
like a
yeah,
Like a hoarding
It's just,
mentality.
like,
Like, oh,
talking
it's
about
there.
it.
I just gotta
Yeah.
keep it because what could happen?
yeah.
And this at a meta level, I've come to the firm understanding of flow, right? To receive more, you need to create space to receive more, which means you need to give. And this is what creates this like bounteiless, unlimited, infinite flow.
So I was going to mention something from Burning Man, which is radical self-reliance, but also gifting.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I've been.
It's right. It's a two poles to a situation of having the things that you need.
So
Mhm.
basically, the individuals will be so full in themselves that they are gifting healing.
I think personal healing is an important part in here too, especially when you tend to like hold on yourself. You might be coming from a place of scarcity, right?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
when you
sure.
grew up, you didn't have the resources, and your family always had to struggle and make sure there was enough food or money or whatever resources were needed. So
Yeah.
to actually heal from this and understand that you're stepping into abundance and that it's okay to share, and it doesn't mean your personal struggle behind that is very fundamental. And I think the solves it at the core, at the root, as you say.
I think just the fact of being in a community and living with people like this can, in the long term, build this kind of mindset where potentially you don't have something one day, but your neighbor does. And it's so easy for you to meet at the communal space and put it on the bulletin board and have everything answered for you. In the next scenario, you're like, oh, this is my second to last box of pasta. I better keep the other one. You're happy to share it because you know that when you put the thing up, you're gonna get a box of pasta or whatever, anything in this scenario. Okay, so sharing.
Yeah, I think what is important too, and it's not about excluding anybody, but just to kind of equalize the level. Like some people are more flexible and more willing to receive other perspectives and actually work on themselves and start at the root, and some people are not ready for it. And I think it's fair to to acknowledge that and actually, you know, create spaces for people. Okay, you know, this is how we roll here. So I know that Taj is here with Nathan. They created like a questionnaire, and they also talk to people for that reason, I assume, just because, you know, not everybody is from the get-go ready to live in a community and actually receive all the mirrors and see it as a reflection instead of externalizing and being like, oh, you are the problem.
Yeah, I think in that particular moment was specifically that, the fact that, well, there were rules, but they haven't been followed and they haven't been addressed fully. Because while the root came out, of course, it was very clear.
Yeah.
And the person started to work, you know, it would take quite a long time to work on it with different tools, because of course it doesn't go in a second, especially if you come from a certain background. But for sure, yes, the rules weren't clearly expressed, and therefore that.
And if it were a really big issue, I would say creating some sort of day where you do a big gifting day, where they're actually practicing the opposite energy of being in the energy of gifting everything, and just like showing up with a gift and learning how to give and receive that gift with love. So that they're also practicing what it means to actually receive, because on the wheel of consent, taking comes from the ability, or comes from the over not being able to receive. It's almost like what would happen if you actually learned how to receive really well too. So maybe there's like this.
Yeah, and also let it flow. Like, don't attach to this thing that you were just given, right? Just let it flow. Okay, I just received this gift, but I'm ready to share it with you if the situation calls for it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Did we each cover our topics and ways to mitigate potentially? What was yours? Lee?
Lack of coherence.
Lack of coherence. Okay. How do you create connection?
Yeah.
Right? Holding the spaces for people to come together. Practicing any one or all of these exercises creates cohesion. Encouraging people to receive, guiding them into sharing.
Creating containers.
Right. Cool. Right. Having talks like this, where we each share our perspectives and have beautiful conversations about how we can all help each other kind of grow and improve. And so I don't want to extend this too long today. It's 4:15, and today was a beautiful day, you guys. Any closing remarks from anyone up here? Something to share? Something you took away from the day? Anyone in the audience? I'm grateful for all of your presence. One closing remark I would love to share is the importance from what I've seen with different projects to have, right, Taj and I spoke about this, that we all, right, inner child work is the best work. Being connected to your inner child is the best. I think my view of this in creating communities is I'm creating true house communities to hang out with all my friends and do the stuff that I love. And in this, heart of this, right, every summer camp has a camp counselor. And this human element piece, just how we have a construction manager, how we have a sustainable systems manager, or a financial manager, each community should really, really have the intention and the organizational chart to have a community manager.
I want to be that guy.
Right, a human element person.
I'm well up for it.
Right,
I don't want to go back to Disney.
That observes these situations and goes, okay, there's a thing with sharing we see. Let's create a day of gifting, right? It has the awareness collectively to put something like this forward. So that would be my closing remark, to keep in our mind and our intention to focus on the community human element more than we focus on getting to the structures and getting to the functionality of the place. Because without the humans, it's not a community.
That's why in all places like Disney, for example, they got a HR manager.
Right.
Like in all like major corporations, they have that.
Right.
It's bringing that stuff from business into
Yeah, part of our role is to build this bridge between like the stuff that makes companies grow to trillion-dollar valuations, right? Traditional success, and implementing those awesome tools into this world that is actually nourishing and actually real positive, but using those tools to create more, better, and bigger of these environments, regenerative communities.
And one thing I'll wrap up with in the human element is, I think sometimes in the the general world, we use things like HR and lawyers to handle our emotional problems that we fear really going after ourselves. Like lawyers are literally a lot of times in place to handle emotional damages and
thrive on controversy.
thrive on controversy. And I think that like when we're shifting into the feminine economy, we have to remember that it's not like there's no such thing as excluding one thing to favor another. It's not like there's no such thing as masculine energy. It's that we're out of balance in the world, and so we're learning how to incorporate both by really honoring the feminine energy within all of us. So I think the best thing we can do is get really in touch with our inner feminine energy and heal all these different elements so that we can actually approach this new earth from a place of like really understanding what we're actually even doing in the world and how we even got here, so that we can like actually come at it from a place of let's put these systems in place now that I've done my inner work and I've seen how it actually operate the feminine energy healthily, and from that place, you know, put this infrastructure in place.
Cool. Yeah, an important piece, right? Age of Aquarius, the feminine, the divine feminine. The last 100 years, couple 100 years have been like masculine driven, right? It takes that sphere sometimes to build the structures, we can say. And now it's time to balance that and be more intuitive, listen more, be more open-hearted. And it's a personal thing I'm like very conscious about at the moment, and I definitely see the implications of it as above, so below, right? In my micro as it is in the macro. So cool, cool point. Cool guys, well, thank you. Anyone else, anything to share?
I'll say, I feel like each of us are here to become the fullest expression of oneness from our individual perspective, so that we can continue to unlock each other. And I feel like, you know, we're all unlocking more of each other as we do that, and literally walking each other home.
Co-creating, coexisting to the highest level of unconditional love. That's what we're looking for.
Yep. Co-creating regenerative communities, you guys. That's what it's about.
Amen.
Yeah, you guys, thank you all for coming and sharing your magic, your monsters, your experiences. We've all now learned vicariously through you guys and through questions how to build our toolkit. And we're grateful for you guys. People will be seeing a lot more of it. We'll definitely be integrating a lot of it into our co-creation of regenerative communities. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome. Woo! Happy Friday. Thank you guys for joining this day. It was magical, human element, critical for regenerative communities, critical for personal growth, and just general the growth of the world. Tune in next week. It'll be our last Co-Creating Regenerative Communities workshop, and the topic will be ecosystems, looking at communities from the macro view. How all of the components come together to create this thriving ecosystem of collaborative human effort. Don't miss it next week. It's going to be a good one. And thank you all for joining. Oh, yeah. Okay, that was wonderful, you guys.
Shaft
Thank
is
you
doing
all.
an activation.
Yes.
What's that?
Shaft is going to lead. Shaft is going to
Shaft
lead
show's
an
about to
activation. Anyone? Staying, coming, joining?